Hey everyone, it's Razyel Kayne. I'm back with another interview. It's been a long time. I'm really happy to have Travis Art on the show. A true artist. I did a bit of research on him, to get myself prepared for the interview. And he's quite versatile in everything that he does. So let's find out what he likes the most. Travis Artz.
Hey, how's it going? Wow,
I'm doing good.
Artist. All right.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. You have a voice acting role which was very memorable, being Hot Rod in the cyberverse. Probably my favorite version of Hot Rod, and there's no controversy if that version of Hot Rod killed Optimus Prime. No controversy. He's a hero. You did a great job. I denote a little bit of Cheetor in him. Am I right?
You are
so
right. And that's because my main exposure to Transformers growing up was Beast Wars.
Okay.
That was like one of my cartoons that I watched as a kid, like regularly. I loved Beast Wars, and Cheetor definitely was a formative character for me. And I've had the chance to meet Ian James Corlett, who voices Cheetor. We did TFCon together, which was really cool for me. And it's funny because I didn't really recognize it at the time, especially like in the middle of performance. But going back and watching it and then interacting with the fan base and thinking about my origins a little more, it's been interesting to see the unintended or like the just through osmosis kind of influence from certain characters and certain voice actors that it just kind of is subconscious, and but it helps at least for me. I think it helped, my background being a fan of animation, being a fan of cartoons, it kind of subconsciously informs what you develop your voice into. And I started to realize that too, going back and watching Cyberverse again and, creating content for my various pages and interacting with fans. Yeah.
And it's your voice is quite different. Like talking to you on the street, I would not recognize Cheetor. With having Hot Rod, I wouldn't. It's very. I think that's very well played on your part for that.
Thank you.
Because there's a lot of I'll take I did because I do voice actor spotlight too for the older generation that don't have internet exposure and stuff like that. I do like 5-10 minutes video spotlight on them.
Yeah.
And some of them, when I start researching and I try to get the clip insert, show it, and I realize it's pretty much all the same thing. Like they're just great actors and they have a particular voice. But then you have people like Scott McNeil, who is very versatile. You wouldn't recognize him in the street, just talking normally. So no, it's quite a skill set. But what's your first love though? Because I see you in music, I see you in TV series and short movies, Hot Rod, of course, and theater. So where did it start?
Wow. That's an interesting question. It's a tough question. I guess it kind of depends on what particular way we're talking about.
Well, okay,
because I definitely I could say, well, I started off in a certain way. My first love is just from being like a kid. A lot of kids grow up watching cartoons.
Yeah.
And for me, and a lot of other kids, reading comic books, right?
Oh yeah.
So that was huge for me. I would comics were huge for me. I mean, those were like my bedtime stories because a lot of my people in my family collected comics and then like passed that love down to me. But by extension, it's different mediums, of course, but like it's in the world for me too with animation and cartoons and animation. You know, I discovered a lot of those things around the same time. So in a certain way, it would maybe be kind of that realm, media like that, cartoons, animation.
That's what got
comics.
you started. Okay.
But even around that time too, I was listening to a lot of music. A lot of members of my family were big music people. So, you know, after watching my Saturday morning cartoons, they would flip on MTV, you know, and I'd be singing and dancing around to that stuff. So before, you know, knowing that I wanted to do it professionally, it was whatever media I was exposed to. And then you know, what's really cool about this is how it all comes back around. And now got a chance to be part of some of that, you know?
Yeah. Being part of Transformer is, you know, it's probably the most successful toy line since, I'm going to say, Barbie.
Yeah.
And you know, in terms of volume of sales and, you know, different shows. But what was the first medium that you actually performed in? Like, did you go acting class and then eventually did you start as a musician?
I first probably would be the choir. I would like school choirs, probably in the arts. Yeah. It's cool. It's something so many people share.
Church choir for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Same for me too, a bit. I did sing in church choir, but like mostly like school choir was like really where it kind of all started for sure. Like elementary school, probably 5th or 6th grade, or maybe probably earlier 4th grade.
Okay.
Choir. And then a little bit after that, actually, some of my beginnings are rooted in dance. Actually, around 5th or 6th grade, I started taking dance classes, and then that kind of the dance studio I went to. Some of the teachers there also ran a theater company, so I started doing shows with that theater company, and then also around that time. I started taking piano and guitar lessons kind of a little bit after the choir. So, you know, it all started percolating around the same time. But yeah, probably, I guess you could say choir, and then it branched out from there. And then finally, when I got into high school, I started doing this like school musicals and plays, started some bands, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's generally the beginnings of the journey for me.
Okay, and I've noticed in my research that I'm not familiar with the term off Broadway. So what's the difference between what's Broadway and what's off Broadway? It's just two types of.
It mainly has to do. I mean, there is kind of a location specific idea to it, like, you know, a lot of Broadway stuff.
Okay.
When you think about it, it's usually a lot of the theaters that are in the Times Square area. But there's also it's an audience size, seat numbers, because there's some stuff that I've done that's very in close proximity to Times Square, but because of the house size, it's considered off Broadway. And I don't know off the top of my head, I forget what the seat number is, but
okay, but it's question of room size and audience capacity and stuff like that. Okay, but I mean, you've done lots of theaters, but you have your own band as well?
Yes, my band is Baby Chemist.
Yes,
with my wife. Hey, if anyone's watching, go check us out. We're working on some recordings right now, and hopefully going to get some stuff together with that soon. The last thing we put out was actually a pop punk cover of a 90s song that some people might be familiar with called What's Up by Four Non Blondes. That's a fun one. I think it's a good time. And then we kind of jump around through different guitar-based genres. So like some Americana and folk, a little like retro soul. So yeah, we got a couple songs up and we're working on some.
Okay, because I was looking at one of the pictures that you have with the country shirt. I'm like, oh, maybe there's a little country in there as well.
There is. Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's kind of the Americana aspect.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a song called "I'll Still Be Here." It's kind of like a country Americana ballad. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right. And how? Because I mean, I'm not artistic one bit. That's why I like to do the YouTube thing, because I get to edit stuff, my videos, my toy reviews, and stuff like that, and that's quite fun. But I don't have, like, I'm gonna go on a limb, and I'm gonna guess that your drawing is pretty good too.
My drawing, it's funny. It's I used to really be into drawing. I did it quite a bit as a kid, and among the many kind of dreams that I had, because I liked comics so much, I think that's what got me into it. I did take some drawing lessons, and I drew quite a bit as a kid. I'd say I was better as a kid than I am now, actually.
Okay.
I regressed quite a bit. It depends. I can copy things fairly okay. Mostly, I mean, I can't even really speak for myself now, but at a time I was good at, like, looking at using a reference, especially if it was in like a comic style, and doing that. Right. I could probably fake my way through doing something like that now if I really had to. But yeah, it's something it's a hobby I would maybe like to get back into. See,
but that's why I qualify you as a true artist, because
wow.
You're approaching all of these different mediums, and you're good at it. Being acting or music, songwriting. I mean, it's all part of like you have you said that you were able to copy stuff, or reproduce stuff, but I mean, you have to have a very creative mind to be able to. And do you approach each? Like, is it a very different approach to, let's say you approach a role that's been written by someone else? Is it like, how do you create the voice for it, or the mannerism when you're on stage, stuff like that? Is it a similar creative process for you to, let's say, write a song? Or does it come from the same place, or do you have to be in a specific mindset for each?
Wow.
Sorry, maybe I'm going too deep.
That's a great question. No, it's a really good question. I'd say it's process-wise, it's fairly different, I guess. In my acting process, I've kind of built a set of some guidelines in terms of how I analyze a scene or a character or a role, figuring out what the character wants, using a set of like actions, verbs, for each line is a method that I use. Thinking about the given circumstances of what the character is going through, and for voiceover, maybe in your mind, you're creating the picture for yourself, trying to put yourself in that place. With, if you're on stage, if you're on camera, that's obviously, done more for you because you're actually there in some instances. But in a lot of ways, the process for those are fairly similar in terms of breaking down the scene, figuring out what the character wants and how they're going to get it. For my songwriting, that usually is a little more like inspirational, for lack of a better term. Like, a lot of my ideas just kind of, I will literally be trying to go to bed, and a melody will pop in my head.
Okay, right.
I'm like, okay, I need to get my phone and record this, and then, or sometimes I'll be like if I'm like too lazy to do that, I'll be trying to figure out the intervals and the rhythm. And so I can remember it the next morning. That almost never works. So I usually do get out of bed, get my phone, voice memo it, and then, so that's typically how that works for me. And then my wife is an incredible writer, and so if she comes up with an idea, then we'll sit together, and I'll maybe figure out a chord progression, and then we'll take it from there. We'll both develop some instrumental parts, and then we have a lot of really great musicians that we'll usually send it out to, and then they'll add their parts to that. So that's kind of how that goes.
All right. And is when it comes, because I have interviewed a lot of actors from the 80s, right? So, and
Mhm.
they were all ensemble cast, everybody in the same room. You're in Cyberverse, you guys were probably doing it individually, recording your lines. But you've done stage acting as well, so that you can bounce off people. You can try different things, different, you can make a different choice
Yeah.
when you're on stage. Which one do you find it easier? Bounce off people or just try to organically come up with everything while you're recording it remotely?
Ooh, yeah. Easier. I don't know if I could say definitively for me that one is more easy than the other, but I do think they have their. I don't want to even say pros and cons. They both have their pros, their benefits.
Yeah.
Obviously what going off what you're saying, like what's nice about theater and or yeah, on camera TV and film is discovering the newness of the scene through your scene partner, and being
Okay.
in the moment with them and letting what they do inform what you're doing. There's also a, I don't want to say an anxiety to that, but there's a it can sometimes also feel make me a little nervous, because it's like, and that's also what's exciting about it, but it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to I want to be in the moment, I want to be present with them, and I want to take what they give me and give back something just as energized and thoughtful and meaningful, So
Okay.
I want to meet that moment in the booth. If, like what you said, yes, in Cyberverse we did record solo. Some of that, I don't want to say pressure, but for me, some of that pressure is taken off a little bit. And okay, I've got three. I mean, especially with theater, that's live. You're
Yeah, exactly.
if you're not in rehearsal and you're doing the performance, and that's the thing, is you have the rehearsals to find it, and or to develop a rapport, to find your character, and then when it's live, that all can kind of be there and percolate and work for you. But the theater is live, and so there's risk, but that's where the excitement comes from. In the booth, again, I don't want to use the word pressure necessarily, but yeah, some of that pressure is taken off, and okay, you have, usually how we do it in voiceover is like an ABC method. You
Okay.
read the lines 3 times, and then the line producer, the writer, the director, they're gonna choose their favorite, and then they're gonna put everyone's takes together. So you kind of know you have, and then obviously, if they need something else and they can give you a direction, you do another 3 times and another 3 times. If you feel you need another, within reason, of course, but
Yeah.
you have a lot of opportunities.
But how?
So
Sorry, I don't.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, no, I'm figuring this
No,
all
no,
out
it's cool. It's just that because I remember the stories from Michael Bell when they were recording with Underwally Burr. He would give them live note and everything. Do you like when you're recording for Hot Rod? Are you on not a Zoom meeting, but like are you pre-recording and just sending them what you recorded, or there's somebody there with you on screen just to give you notes, directions?
When I did it, we went to in person into a studio in
Oh,
New
okay.
York. Yeah, in New York. And which I really like, because I mean, I think the access and the accessibility that remote work has given voice actors has been really great. I do what I like about, if it's a possibility, what I like about going in person is that it still gives you that, what we were talking about before, of like that person to person interface that you can get on camera and in theater, even though they're not in the scene with you, it still creates a vibe, you know, an energy that I do like, you know, not as the character, you know, because obviously I'm trying to stay in character, but there's an energy that it creates having someone else, not in the booth, obviously, but in the control room, you know, the engineer, the line
Yeah.
producer, you know, a couple people. I think there is a kind of communal energy that it creates. So I was really, even though we didn't get to read together the actors, I was grateful that there was still kind of a person-to-person interaction element to it. So when we did Cyberverse, right, it would just be one actor at a time in the
Right.
booth, but we had a line producer. At the very least, we had a line producer and an engineer. And then sometimes we would have one or several writers phoned in, patched in, you know, from another location,
Okay.
and director as well. So a little bit, you know, in person, face to face, and some, you know, remote, someone calling in or, you know, phoned in.
And is it stressful to have the writer present? Because I mean, the writer, when they write it, they have an idea, and you're trying to bring that idea to life. Are they, you know, like, oh, we were thinking more this and that, or are they more like they observe and, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, do they have like a direct hand in, you know, directing you, or they just sit back?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, that's usually why they're calling in. Remember, they're you know, calling in is so they can have perhaps some input if they have an idea. Is it stressful? I wouldn't say stressful, but just speaking for myself, I just, as the person I am, the actor I am, yeah, I mean, I definitely, there's a part of me that wants to do a good job. Now the part
Right.
of the job is taking that part of your mind and kind of putting it in the corner and then trying to embody the character, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I'm a person, and it definitely happens for me on any job, voiceover, theater, film, whatever. I come in with some nerves for sure. And then, you know, like with anything, the more rehearsals you do, depending on the project, or just at, you know, the more sessions you do, just as time goes by, the first couple lines you get out, that starts to dissipate, and you start to develop a rapport either with your scene partners or or like what you said, the writers, the director,
Yeah.
the line producer. And then it starts to become, you know, a more communal thing. And then you obviously recognize that they just want the best from this thing, and they picked you for a reason, and they just want to see what you can do and play around. And that's the thing to keep in mind, is the play of it all. You know, we're just all playing with each other. And especially because if we're talking about writers specifically, especially since they wrote it, if there's something that I'm just not, for whatever reason, understanding, or that I'm not necessarily, I didn't interpret, it's a gift to have them in the room or on a call so that they can kind of, you know, walk you through it or explain it or give you some insight. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then when you get to theater, you know, your live, is it, do you prefer to, because I mean, I've seen, you know, actors perform the same thing the same way over and over again. But do you prefer to, you know, try different things during live performances, try to, you know, vary your performance, you know, see if something works better than the other?
So if we're talking about theater specifically, it depends. You know, I think depending on the project, there can sometimes be room for interpretational improv. Obviously, the lines are written, unless there's improv worked into the project. The lines are written, and you're trying to perform them as written. But how you deliver it can maybe change depending on what your scene partner gives you and what you want to give back. But there's also in theater, usually, not always, but I'll say sometimes, there is a process of previews.
Okay.
So after rehearsal, but before you actually open, there's a previews process in front of a select number of audience. Sometimes it's an entire audience who choose to go see the previews, but it is kind of your time to work out the kinks.
Yeah. Flesh out the idea.
Flesh out ideas and see what deliveries, depending on if you're doing, especially like a comedy, figure out what things are working, what things need improvement, what beats to kind of tighten up. So I'd say it depends project to project and literally like line to line and moment to moment. Because there are some parts of a show where it would benefit from you perhaps feeling it out with your scene partner and letting it be a little looser. And maybe there's some things where it's like, you know what? This is really, at least in our production, this is how the line, it begs to be delivered, and this is what works. This is the climax. This is a certain moment that we kind of maybe for this production need to deliver it a certain way, or something you found in rehearsal. So yeah, it kind of depends.
But I mean, it's always a fun experience, right? I mean, different, unless you play with the same troupe all the time, then you get really strong rapport with the other actors. But like when you go to conventions, and then let's say you meet Jessica Di Giovanni for the first time, you're going to be panelists together. Like because I know, like, if I'm thinking about the G1 actors, the Beast Wars actor, they get back together, they're having fun. They're it's they tell each other the stories of how things happened in the studio, stuff like that. But you guys sometimes probably just meet for the first time at a panel. What's the feeling? Is it like, oh, finally I get to meet you, or sometimes you had no idea who was behind the voice? Like maybe it's awkward. I don't know. What's your perspective on that?
I mean, it's been great. Getting to meet the other actors. Several of us have done a couple conventions now, and I try, if I can, if I end up getting on a convention, I have a handful of contacts from the people from the show, and so I try to pass along some of their information, see if we can get a little group going, and
right.
And that's worked out a couple times, which is really nice. Actually, if you don't mind me plugging something,
sure, go ahead. It's your show.
I'm going to be at I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right now, but Sujoy PopCon, which is in Fishkill, New York, in the Hudson Valley, and I'm going to be there. And they just announced that Jeremy Levy is going to be there, who voiced Bumblebee and Perceptor and Whirl and Rack and Ruin. And also Bumblebee on Rescue Bots Academy is going to be there. And then Courtney Shaw, who was on Rescue Bots Academy as Whirl, is going to be there. So we got a couple Transformers coming there. So, but yeah, it's a great example of like they picked him up too. And so we're going to get to do that together. It's been really great. It's really funny because, we in the show, we never read together, but now we've had couple opportunities to do live script readings.
They do that at convention, live script, and sometimes it's I don't want to say fan fiction, but sometimes it kind of is. So
I mean, and sometimes it's someone who works with the convention who's writing a completely original. I think every time has been written a completely original script based on characters of whatever guests they're having there. And it's so fun because you'll have, like you said, Scott McNeil was a guest at a BotCon,
right,
with Gary Chalk and Venus Terzo and Sue Blue, and then you've got
Sue Blue. I'd love to interview that woman.
Great.
She's hard to reach.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
I first met her doing a TF con, and I think I've gotten to do 2 script readings with her at this point, and I
envy you for that.
I feel very lucky because it's cool because you've got G1 RC interacting with cyberverse Hot Rod.
Exactly.
And so you get these like multiversal dream storylines at a live script reading event, and for some of us, some of the cyberverse actors, that's our first time reading with each other, and then we're doing it with Pterosaur, Legends. Yeah,
exactly. That's I was at TFCon in Toronto 2 years ago, and they had Venus Terzo, Greg Berger, and a couple of other actors, and they also hold auditions for fans to voice in that play, which I'm guessing some of them it must be really stressful. Like, okay, cool, you do the audition, you're going there, but then you're sitting with Greg Berger, and you're doing your take on whatever character they give you. So that must be quite the experience. So
I mean, I'm already, I'm one of the guests, and I'm nervous with these people. I love that aspect of TFCon, that they do that. I think it's really, it's just such a great idea and a fun way to get the audience involved. And not even if they end up getting picked, but just to do the audition process is fun. That's one of my favorite things to do at these conventions. Is the panels are so fun, and then if we get to do a script reading, really cool. Yeah. Maybe one day I'll try it. I'm not an actor myself. Like, I like doing interviews. My friend, an entertainer, and some, there is an art
to
it.
You know what? Getting an interviewing deal with any network, stuff like that, sure, I'll sign up. But that's what I can do. One of my friend, Ultra Megatronus, wants to know, like, you'll be in Fishkill, but he missed the date.
Oh, I don't think I said it. Yeah, it's June 21st and 22nd, a Saturday and Sunday, and I believe it's at the Fishkill Recreation Center. I think is
Okay, cool.
21st, 22nd June next month.
There you go. That's fun.
And this is tentative, but I don't know if I remember the dates, but I think I'm going to be in Wildwood, New Jersey, too, in January.
Oh, well, it's really planned well in advance.
Yeah, I just did a convention with them in Seabright. And they also run this other one. And then there's a couple other ones in the works that I'm hoping work out, so stay tuned. But those are what I've got on the docket so far.
Yeah, or maybe check with because they have TFCon Toronto in Canada every July.
Right.
So if you want to come up here, and it's a little less, you'll save money on rooms.
Sure. I mean, listen, I would love to be in any of the Transformers conventions, and stay tuned. I hope. Yeah, we'll see.
There you go. And speaking of meeting with legends, and you were at TFCon Baltimore with Jessica and a couple other people. Michael Bell was there, which I've previously interviewed as well. And did you get a chance to interact with him at all, or?
I don't think I got to talk to Michael.
Okay.
Prowl, right? G1 Prowl, right?
Yeah, Prowl, Sideswipe, and then
maybe briefly. It's so hard with some of these because everyone's just. I mean, I know we're doing the same thing at the same time, but everyone's kind of also on their own schedule, and like sometimes completely other sides of the room.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was weird though to have, because in Toronto they have the guests on separate from the showroom, like it's on a different section. So,
right.
But then this one, you guys were all the way back to the toy show, all the vendors. So I thought I was like, okay, so we have to wait for this to open to get to the actors. So.
I'm sure it's all dependent too on just like what space they're in and what makes sense for the flow of traffic and stuff. But I mean, we were all in the same section, but I remember Michael was just like several tables.
Yeah,
down
there was
that way.
Doug Parker as well.
So I got to meet Doug because we did the script reading together.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
I know I gave him my business card, but I haven't had it. He doesn't have an Instagram, so it's hard to reach a lot of the more experienced actor. You know, I don't want to say the older, but you know,
the veterans. Yeah, I mean,
veterans. Thank you.
It's a different, it's a different thing in terms of the social media, you know. So, but excuse me, it was really cool because we did the reading together, and like I said, Beast Wars was that was my show growing up. So you started with the best one. Beast War is the best story. I might be biased, but I mean, I think I just really love it. But I was gonna say I don't want to get any G1 fans mad, but no, also great. But you know, it's close to my heart because I was a kid. I grew up with it, so I obviously have a fond recollection of it. But it's been really great to meet a lot of these Beast Wars actors, you know, now on this side of things. And then also Sue Blue being, you know, I found out, you know, later on in my life that she directed, you know, episodes of that. So to be
more than the episode, she was the voice director for the whole series.
You know, her fingerprint is heavily on that show too. And so to be talking to these people and reading with them, and it's just been great. I think Doug's like now maybe the 4th or 5th Beast Wars actor that I've like actually got to perform with. So that's cool. It's been really special.
Yeah, I've been lucky. I've interviewed Gary Chalk maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
It happened because when I do my voice actor spotlight, I try to send them to the actors so that, you know, it gives me a foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then because the whole interview thing started with John Machida Jr., who's, you know, the fastest talking man, and he actually commented on my spotlight.
Wow.
I didn't, you know, I was just doing my stuff, and then he commented, and it was maybe my 10th spotlight that I did, and he commented that after 40 years finally somebody got the story right, which was the biggest compliment anybody could have made, because I do a lot of research for those, and I didn't, you know, screw up anything. So then asked him for an interview, and then I was hooked for interviewing, so I like the interview. So you know, Paul Eiding, if you ever have a chance, you met Paul Eiding?
I know we did a TF Con together.
Okay.
I'm just trying to remember, because in some instances it's like just very quick. It's like we're both in the you know, lunchroom.
Yeah.
And we're at the same table, and we just get a very quick, you know, little interaction. Might have at least gotten to say hi. And I was going to go back and say with Prowl, Michael Bell.
Yeah.
I might have had a chance on my way out of the convention in the last day to might have gone to say something to him, because I don't know if I knew this before the convention, but was he the grandpa on the Rugrats too?
He was one of the father on the
one of the parents. Yeah, but I remember seeing his banner, and seeing a Rugrats character, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
You're part of my childhood.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing doing my channel and the spotlight, because, you know, I take an actor, okay, he voiced Bumblebee, like Dan Galvezan.
Yeah.
And then go through it. I'm like, oh, I've watched this. And then when I got the Paul Eiding, he did so many Blizzard stuff like Diablo and Warcraft and so many things. And then I got to interview him, and he's my favorite human being. Like, there's nobody that I prefer more than, well, maybe my wife and my kids. But, you know, Paul Eiding to me is such a great man. So, but it was fun to be. I've interviewed Richard Newman, who voiced Rhinox.
Yeah.
And then now yearly, I have David K on the channel. Like we've did it 2 years in a row. I get half an hour with him every year. I'm happy. It's probably more than anybody else gets. So
that's cool. So from my first Transformers convention, which was TFCon LA,
okay,
he was my table neighbor.
Oh my God.
He was on my left, and so he was. I got to my table. I set up, and I was I thought I'm gonna go talk to him, and I said, hey, I'm a guest here. I was in a Transformers series, and I just want to say, like, you were my first Megatron, and I love Beast Wars, and I love your work and a lot of the things you've done since then. And he's super cool, obviously, like so nice. And yeah, it's been great. It's been a treat.
Yeah, he's the line is long to get to David K when you're just attending the convention. At TFCon Toronto, he was like 500 meters long. It was crazy, but
Wow.
Got to give him my my little business card I had, and which was cheaper than the one I gave you. It was just like a piece of paper with my email address, but he actually got back to me the very next week. Got like his publicist, because he's busy, so he has like a whole team behind him.
Of course.
So I speak with her on a yearly basis, set everything up. Yeah, no, it's really fun. There's actors that I'm not complaining, but I mean, some of them I know they've seen my invitations because you can see it in the messenger, but they don't reply. Maybe they're they're too busy, or they don't know, or it happens. So
yeah, it's our schedules are kind of even when we're not booked, the schedules are all over. I mean, honestly, I would say especially when we're not booked, the schedules are all over the place in terms of trying to schedule auditions and around our lives, and our lives around auditions. And especially if you try to work in several mediums, so yeah, I know, but it's amazing that you've gotten such great guests. Like,
oh yeah, I'm blessed. I mean, if it ends tomorrow, I'm okay. But actually, next week, I'm interviewing Jessica DiGiovanni.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we've been trying for a while, so I'm really happy to have a couple more people over now. So it's giving me the buzz back to try to be a little more aggressive with my invites. Send more and try to hook. But I mean, if you have any contacts from the Cyberverse gang that you want to refer me to, just go right ahead.
You know what? I think I'll do that, because I know there's a lot of people who are really enjoy being part of the fandom and being part of this property. I think they'd be really they appreciate getting to talk about it, and so I will follow up with you.
Thank you.
I think there's some cool people that can maybe get you in touch with.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that. Well, I think I don't want to take too much of your time. It's roughly been an hour, and
I ran a little late, so
hey, it's all good.
I still owe you maybe 10 or 15 minutes if you want to take it, but no pressure.
Sure. Okay. I'll take the 10, 15 minutes. So you grew up on Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite character? Let's go with the more generic question,
Yeah. Okay. Overall, I think I got to go Waspinator.
Right. Okay. Good choice.
Yeah. I mean, just so the idea of the character, and then obviously the performance of the character, the voice of the character, just so funny,
Yeah.
Just such a great, fun character. It's such a memorable, like, voice. I mean,
yeah. Oh, Scott's one of his best performances.
One of the best. Yeah, one incredible, like in voiceover, one of just the best creations. It so perfectly fits the idea of the character and the situations the character goes through.
Yeah.
You know, being
Every
kind of
week.
being this kind of punching bag in so many ways, and then fitting the what creature the animal the character represents. It's just a perfect fit, and it's just always so funny. I went back leading up to, I think, to one of the conventions where I knew I was going to be being a guest with some of the Beast Wars actors. I started rewatching it, and it's so interesting, like when you go back and watch something from your childhood, like what it lights up in your brain.
Yeah.
And just having these, I mean, I'm watching it, so it's not a flashback necessarily, but it kind of rushing back to you of like, oh my gosh, yes, I totally remember this moment. But the Starscream possession episode,
that's what got me back into Transformers. Well, not back. When I was a kid, I was actually more of a Masters of the Universe guy.
Oh, cool.
Back in the 80s, I had a huge collection, which when we moved, I gave away to the local daycare. I still hate myself for that, but kids were happy.
Yeah,
but
that's nice.
When I started watching Beast Wars, and we started seeing the connection to G1, Starscream, and then the arc and everything, that's what got me into heavy Transformers fandom. Yeah. So, quick question from the chat. We're going to take a couple of those. So, if Hasbro makes another Transformers series, what sort of character would Travis like to play?
I don't have a preference necessarily in like the voice imprint or the type, but I think just for fun, a Decepticon would be cool.
Nice.
There you go. I think that just to try something different would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right, and then Ultra Megatronus wants to know, Beast War being your favorite, what other Transformers lore would you have loved to have voiced act for, or any 90s cartoon in general, other franchise?
Wow. I'll get back to the lore question, but a Ninja Turtle, I think, would be cool. And I think I'm also, I like to try to be also realistic in casting myself of like, okay, this is what I have, and mostly what I have in my toolbox, or what I'm.
Yeah, that's your range.
My strong suit. So I think that's kind of could be in my wheelhouse. A Ninja Turtle would be.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's another, property cartoon I grew up on, and even the live action movies I loved as a kid. So
they're great.
That would be really awesome. And the Transformers lore, would you have loved to? I mean, being a part of, I don't know, I was going to say the Beast Wars continuity, but that is the G1 continuity. But in the Beast Wars leg of G1 would be obviously so cool to be.
What did you think of Beast Machine though? Because you love Beast Wars. Was Beast Machine like most of us, or was it you still enjoyed it?
In real time, I never got to it. I didn't. So when that ended up happening, I didn't watch it, and then I haven't caught up on it yet. So I'll have to get back to you about that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, just let me know if ever you watch it, because I mean, some people loved it.
Yeah.
And all the actors hated it because they changed the character so much. That's what it Gary Chalk did not enjoy doing the Beast Machine type, but Ian James Corlett loved it because Cheetor was the big hero in that show.
There you go.
There's pros and cons.
It was funny because and if anyone wants to check it out, it's on my various pages on my TikTok and my Instagram and YouTube. But I do a Waspinator impression.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do it now, but check it out if you want to check it out. It's on my pages, and I think whoever wrote the script for the TFCon script reading,
right,
might have seen it or got wind of it, because they ended up throwing it into the script for me to do. But what was funny about it was the character was labeled as Thrustinator.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I was like, I think they probably just mean for me to do a Waspinator impression, and I have a feeling that this is probably a Beast Machines reference, and so I had to go to one of the employees of the TFCon and be like, who are all super knowledgeable about Transformers, and I had to say, hey, Thrustinator, is that basically Waspinator? And they were like, yeah. So it's what happens to Waspinator. They get combined with another character or something. I was like, okay, cool. I just need to know. I just want to know if I'm doing the voice or not. So,
okay.
But that was really, so it was funny.
Okay. Hold on. We have another one. I can envision being a Donatello or Raphael. That's something you would have considered voicing if you had the opportunity. So yeah, the answer probably
100%. Yeah. And it's, it's at that point, it's just all about getting the audition, getting the opportunity to get the opportunity. But absolutely.
Cool. Then I have one final question. Something that Venus Terzo mentioned during one of convention, because they were asking about, a difficult part, what's harder. And she said it's not really, about a difficult part, but it can be a difficult subject matter. So for you, what do you prefer, like a complex character or a very difficult subject matter?
Wow, you're hitting me with these great questions.
Yeah, I try.
Complex character or difficult subject matter? I mean, I'm interested in doing both.
Yeah.
I guess if I had to choose, that's tough because I would typically, I guess I understand the distinction. Probably complex character.
Okay.
Because subject matter is not really, as an actor, something. See, it really depends. It would really depends on the specifics. But the only thing I would say is that as an actor, you're not playing subject matter. You know what I mean?
Right.
Necessarily. I mean, your character can be going through a certain circumstance or a situation, but then it's about, okay, what do I, as the character facing this circumstance, what do I need, or what do I want in this situation to either, likely overcome the circumstance, the difficult subject matter.
That's a great answer.
So I guess that's my answer. I don't know if that's an answer.
And no, that's exactly what I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, we're I'm gonna wrap this up. Like I said, don't want to take more than an hour. Because
thank you for having me.
It was great to have you. Like, honestly, I'm happy that you replied to my messages, and thank you for being here. Because I'm a small channel. I'm just interviewing people that I like. My son loved your version of Hot Rod, either the red or the black one. Doesn't matter. He loves Cyberverse. So,
thank you.
It's all fun. So in 10 years, when he's interested in watching what I do, I'll show him this. And then, when you have to be a certain age where the nostalgia hits you. Because I run on nostalgia. All this, it's all nostalgia.
I'm with you. I'm the same way. And it's been so interesting. That's what's been so wild about this too, is just the way, the number of years now that Cyberverse has been out, and the distance from it, and also where shows like this arrive in certain kids' lives, like at what age, those jumps from because we ran for what was it,
3 seasons plus two specials.
Was that over maybe 3 or 4 years, I guess?
I want to say maybe 4, close to 5. The last special episode with
2020,
all the Tformers.
Yeah. So, but that jump, say if you get into this stuff at 6 or 5, right? If you said 5 years, that jump from 5 years old to 10, that's a huge jump. Or even if you're, a kid who likes this stuff a little later and you're 10 to 15.
Yeah.
So I've got, for me, after a certain age, I think that time, first of all, goes so much faster, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it doesn't feel that far away. That doesn't feel that far in the past to me. But for a kid, that's a light year,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
or that's the distance is just that's huge. So I get kids coming up to me, teenagers, early
At this
teenagers.
point, yeah, you get teenagers.
They're saying, your show was my childhood. And I'm like, aren't you still in your childhood?
Oh yeah.
But it's just so funny to me,
Yeah.
It's a great place to be in too, because I know how that feels, because before all of this, I went to conventions, and I would meet artists and actors, and so I understand what that means to them, because I was a part of that at one point.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
You had your fan geek moment, where you were a fan, and like I could show you a picture when I met Michael Bell, because I interviewed him and then met him and I'm just giddy, super happy, because it's freaking Michael Bell. Right. So it's just, and then he was on Star Trek. I'm a huge Trekkie. Like it's just it adds up, all the stuff that and realizing how much time, without knowing them, how much time I've spent with these actors, watching all the stuff they did. With Paul Hiding, I played Diablo like 40 hours a week, and playing the warrior, and he's the warrior. So I've spent my teenage years with him. So it was fun. But thanks for stopping by. It's been but I'm gonna do all the outro and everything, but don't hang up. Some actors they click out. So
yeah, I got you. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go. Thanks everyone in the chat for showing up. It's been a great. Check the links in my in the description of the video. You have the website and the Instagram of Mr. Artz. Maybe I throw in a couple other things in there. I'm not sure, but there you go. So thanks everybody. Oh, and then what's my line? It's been so long. Okay, so thanks for watching everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Also leave a comment. Love reading those. Keep coming back. I have more on the way. Next week, Jessica Di Giovanni. And remember that nothing in life gives you the right to be an asshole. Take care.
And roll out.
Oh yeah, there you go. You roll out.